needless to say, I'm upset with some people right now. Anyway, what about you guys? Hold on a second. I hate to get so enthralled in all this shit, but like, not to say, can you guys see me? Can you guys hear me? What are you wearing? What are you wearing? A wedding ring? I wish. But, here, fuck it, let's go. The thing is, yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I should be playing like I'm auditioning for a better guild, really, instead of. But the thing is like when fucking, we've had one of these trinkets drop. We've done this shit like for 9 or 10 weeks now, right? And there's no chance it didn't drop again tonight, and I was too upset to even stream about it, right? Which tells you something. As soon as I joined the guild or the raid group, they had me moved into the group without a shadow priest. Like, came home from work one day and there's like just somebody else moved into my apartment, kind of, kind of thing, and I'm like, that's fucking lame, you know. And I'm like, pretty close to quitting over this shit, right? And the thing is, I'm like, I've expressed my opinion 100 million fucking times about this shit. The reason I played for my life and still got top DPS up until the point where a gear discrepancy made it like almost impossible. You know what I mean? In all reality, and that gear discrepancy wouldn't have happened, I don't believe, if things had just been slightly more fair to begin with, like considering people dying and all that stuff on boss fights. So I fucking shut down the goddamn stream tonight and just played. And I didn't have a Shadow Priest, but I didn't die one time from start to finish on any fight until we wiped on the second boss in TK or whatever, and had to call it there because it was 11 o'clock or whatever. So, and I know I have, at least somewhat, I believe there's two separate schools of thought here. One of them that's wrong and one of them that's right. And the one that's right would say, yeah, I don't know. And then I still top damage on Alar after all that. They put, after the whole SSC, I guess they were giving the other guy a trial run or not. I don't know if they were doing it because they thought I wasn't playing well or what. But I think it's fair to rotate mages to shadow priests and stuff. But if it's just one of the other though, that's like, now you're playing favorites and you're not necessarily playing favorites, you know, for the right reasons. It doesn't seem like, because you know the guy's first name or know him in real life or whatever, I guess. But we'll see, man. I think when it gets down to like when we can spec fire, it shouldn't be as much of a discrepancy in DPS because I know like it doesn't seem like it adds up, but in reality, no, it really does. Like 15 extra int, one and a half, like 80 extra intellect or 60 or 70 extra intellect for an arcane mage is like, look at their sockets. Every one of them is 8 intellect. All their enchants intellect. You know what I mean? It's all they have. It's all they care about. So, but the thing is that even when there wasn't, and there was like neck and neck matches, and consistently I was top DPS, if not top mage DPS. That Roken Shadow stepped on one of us. I thought he was ganking that guy. But I know the audience that I want to play to is the less vocal, less boisterous, less, not to say flagrant, but flamboyant. You know, that's more or less the type of people that I want to be impressed with what I'm doing versus like the guys that have to sit there and, not to say brag on themselves or whatever, but insult one another and things. Like, even if they're joking and shit, I just, unless you're gay or retarded, man, I have no, I don't like making fun of people unless they're gay or retarded. So, you know, so I mean, it's not nice. It's not nice to pick on people in video games. Right. That being said, though, but I think I proved my point, because you got to sit there and say like, well, these healers, if they parse to heal just to top the parse charts, it's like a joke for them to get 99s, you know, because what does it do? What does it consist of? Well, tab targeting through things and renewing or whatever the fucking case may be. But a priest in our guild had 99% parses on every fight, period, you know, which is like unheard of for a DPS. And the reason why I say not to say the reason why, the guy knows what he's doing. On top of that, though, is he healed to parse. And like, sometimes healing to parse, yeah, you can get a good parse, but is that what's needed to heal? I'm assuming he healed to parse. I could be wrong. You know what I mean? But if you're doing what you need to do just to parse better, there's if you look at my parses, none of them are above like 82 or 83%. And you'd say, wow, that guy, like, we would have a hard time believing that. You know what I mean? That out of 100 WoW players, only 17 are better DPS than you. I'm like, well, that's not necessarily true. You know what I mean? I don't know how many, but out of 100, probably less than 3 or 2. You know what I mean? Really, if it were based solely on stats, on top of like the discrepancies, like, well, why? It's because it's a fucking not to say impossible, but also our guild, the speed at which we clear shit dictates how much damage that I can do. If we sputter out in a 5-minute fight that could take 3 minutes, then my parse is going to be shitty. But you have these guilds that have they have 6 mages, a shadow priest, and an elemental shaman for or whatever, and they spec and stack the raid, or they have 2 groups with 2 mages and a warlock. And in all reality, I would be for having 3 mages, shadow priest, and warlock, and putting the warlock in the shaman group, because warlocks can life tap for mana, mages can't. They have 1 evocate. Like, yeah, but we do more damage if we don't. I'm like, yeah, I get that, but you can, you know what I mean? You can life tap. So a mage not having to, you know what I mean? So I would think it would be better to have 3 mages, and an Ellie shaman and a shadow priest in a group, really. Am I healing this? Did I fort buff everybody? Before we start, real quick, Hello? Hello, hello? Taylor, are you there? Taylor? Taylor Swift? Are you there? Anyway. Yeah, so I've proved my point. I'm like, yeah, I could be playing better, but like, we're fucking 9 weeks into grinding this shit. My incentive to do well was all but eroded whenever my incentive to do well was basically trifled on. You know, like, you shouldn't need an incentive to do well. I'm like, but it is why it's like, come on now. And then to get, and I believe, right, and I think if you guys are on my page, and you may or may not be, but I'm like, yeah, you really do beat yourself up about stupid shit, don't you? Yeah. But it is what got me here, so you can sit there and say like, oh, well, you should probably not take this shit as seriously as you do. I'm like, if I didn't take this seriously, all the other shit wouldn't even matter. But I proved my point, I think, to the right audience too. That people that know, like, we have to spam heal these people, and we fucking don't have to do shit to keep you up. Like, that's helpful for the healers. Now the healers can heal the tanks. Now the tanks get more heals and we don't die. We wipe 3 times in a fight we never wipe on, to people pulling aggro and to tanks getting killed and shit because the healers have to spam heal these people that aren't paying attention to the threat meters. I'm the only person that didn't pull aggro tonight on fights. I'm like, and I still would have got top damage had I had a Shadow Priest, but I was as shit because they moved me out of the group, and I'm totally fine with everybody getting a fair chance and rotating and this that. But I'm like, there's one other guy that they don't do it. They don't apply the rules and laws and whatever in the groups, like consensus and all that stuff doesn't apply to that person. I'm like, well, that's not fair because I've been here longer, I've attended more raids, I have a higher attendance rate, I consistently top damage, you know. It's been shitty the last couple of weeks, but that's what happens when someone gets it piled on them like that. So, you know, everybody knows I'm right. And if you don't think I'm right, then you're a gay retard. So, here we go. Here we go. And then I top damage on Alar. And it was a very close race. Like 4 or 5 people all did crazy good damage, but so I have successfully proven my point, I think. I convinced the people that I care to convince, and the other people are the type of people that will try to find a reason to bitch and complain because they want a reason to bitch and complain. But the fucking thing is like, when the trinket dropped, it didn't even get down to like a close vote or anything. It was strictly based on parse logs, right? Like, is that how they hand out healer gear? And then we did a different strategy on Karathresh, and even without a Shadow Priest, I was nearly, I don't know if anybody else had one either, but I was nearly top damage, and had I not been attacking the totems and just attacking the boss, I would have been top mage damage. But then again, that's how the raid wipes. And look, if anybody else is too, then fine, right? If anybody else is attacking totems, I appreciate it too. You know, I might be complaining about something that can't be complained about, but they put all the ads on top of each other, let the AoE cleave, or the range cleave, or whatever, the melee cleave rather. Oh no, guy. You pulled. Yeah. Run back because this is going to pull. You already know what it is. The point was, I think, cumulative amongst the mages, there was probably 15 deaths, 10, 12 deaths, and I was 0 of them, so it was a matter of, like, whatever. I hardly ever die on shit, really. I mean, I do on occasion, but we also wipe a lot, and there's also a lot of things going on that, man, I could play for my life better, but sometimes you get wanting to do the damage so you can get that thing that you want, right? Kind of. It is petty, but whatever. But I definitely proved my point. The first fight that they put me in the group with the Shadow Priest, I topped damage for the entire raid. Top, not just amongst mages, top actual out of 25 people, so. Yeah, so I was like, as soon as they put me in the group with the Shadow Priest. I'm sitting there looking at the gear discrepancies, racial discrepancies and all that stuff. I'm like, when I get to the fucking fire spec, dude, I think, I don't know what like, much can be done about it, really. Because it's going to knock out 80 intellect worth of shit. Which, yeah, fire mage has more mana, but if I remember correctly, mana conservation isn't even that big of a problem. On my mage the first time, I was clear casting fire spec. I wasn't Icy Veins fire, and I got like 2200 DPS on Brutalis on our first kill. I don't know if that's good or not, but it probably isn't. But I was also like, I just had joined the guild and all that stuff. I didn't have the best gear ever. But yeah, I don't know. Be interesting to see. But I have a few people in the guild that really do stand up for me, I'm pretty sure, behind closed doors about the shit. And understand, like, you don't know what a stress it puts on the healers to have people constantly taking, no, I do, but, you know, what but people that DPS don't know is, like, how much stress it puts on the healers, and then a tank dies because of it. You're like, well, you take from column A to put into column B, right? It's got to come from somewhere. Can't dispel? That's my Shadow Word Pain. Never mind. Even if it means me not streaming raids so I can pay attention better, you know, really, if that's what it takes, if I can give a shit. I don't like talking to you guys anyway. Alright, I like it just a little. They were talking about how these two guys in our guild met up to like hang out in real life or whatever. Docking, to call it docking. Yeah, that's the thing. You know, that's what they were doing. And I say a joke in raid chat or something. He's like, these guys were like, yeah, I bet they were both blowing each other in the bathroom or whatever when they were. And I'm like, I pray they do. And the very first guy that chimes in says, I don't think you have to pray. He goes, I don't think you have to pray about it. I'm like, I figured I'd find you here, you rascallion, you, you slack-jaw ruffian. I knew I'd find you here. Two dudes blowing each other in the bathroom. I figured as much. Right. I knew I'd find you here, goddammit. Ah, you fell into my trap, right? It was all a ploy. I was just blowing your dad to get your attention. Who's retarded now? Right? Did you really blow my dad? Did you really blow my dad? Ah, it's all a giant chess game, and you are my pawns. Did you really blow my dad? Scott Tinnerman chili, dude. I'm telling you, don't make me make you eat your parents. I'll fucking do it. Yeah, so I've got to stay optimistic. Wait, did you really blow my dad? I put me in the Shadow Priest group and got top raid DPS out of 25 people, well, however many DPS there are. So I'm like, I proved my point. I played for my life, didn't die one time. If it were hardcore, I'd still be the one playing video games. I know it's not, but can't beat myself up not getting top damage on shit whenever I don't have a Shadow Priest, period. On a few fights they swapped it out, and on those fights I think I did almost as much, but not to say, like, I'm playing my fucking character, not trying to, I mean, trust me, topping DPS is great too, but without a Shadow Priest, you see how I sputter out on Hydros, right? If I had a Shadow Priest, I wouldn't have sputtered out. I was doing insane DPS. We don't have a Mage. We have no decurse on that, really. I think I've had people bitch and complain about that curse before. It's not that terrible, really. I mean, it's a little bit, but he's rep grinding, dude. Leave him alone. But how would you do it? You know what I mean? How would you do it? So I guess the goal here isn't to do the best; it's to convince the most people that I am the best, even if I'm not. That's kind of gay. Sure wish it weren't, you know. I don't know if these people feel like that they. I don't know what it is, man. I don't know. Do they just think I don't understand the shit? Is the thing? Do they really think I don't get it? I never talk to anybody, so it's hard to tell, I guess. I hardly talk in Discord and all that stuff, so I guess they just think I'm retarded or something. I don't really know. Unless I'm reading too far off into it. You guys think I'm reading too far off into it? Let me call my rabbi. Do you get my rabbi on the phone? Your rabbi is the phone. Oh. Anyway. Your rabbi is a phone. Oh, that would be a good rabbi is a phone. That's a funny last name. Rabbi is a phone, is that you? Right. It's one of those sentences that doesn't make it's different if it's a statement or a question, right? It's like your rabbi is a phone is a statement. Your rabbi is a phone is a question, right? Like it makes that's why punctuation's so important. Here's something that I noticed, man. I scrolled through the admins the other day, and I mentioned it to Def, but I noticed that guy Evan's no longer an administrator, which is, I guess, probably for a good reason, if it is. I have no real reason to believe any, but I really do think, because I pieced it together sort of. He's Canadian, right? And none of these people ever expected there to be a point in time on X that Elon would make it possible for everybody to see their geolocation or whatever, like where the account was created. So these people all got away with, like, I don't think this guy ever did really, but the thing is that the people at Realis are Canadians. Their account's made in Canada, and there's some sort of connection there probably, although Canada's a big place. But it makes sense that if there's some loyalties there where I wish there weren't, maybe, but I'm not necessarily, I haven't gotten out my goddamn magnifying glass about it yet. But I think he's the one that was putting these people up to making like shitty videos and stuff and making it all look like a scam and trying to just, like, I don't appreciate that. I don't care, like, I just don't. I don't care what make my fucking hair fall out. It stresses me out. It's not necessary, you know what I mean? At some point in time, we're like, yeah, well, I meant to do that. You're like, no, that's also an excuse to behave like a shithead and not be accountable for what it is that you've done, And at some point in time, some of what I had donated to the project for it to be up and running went to making these, like, videos that if anybody were to see it would say, yeah, this thing's a scam, you know what I mean? I'm like, so I definitely can have an opinion here, whereas if I were just an outside observer, and that isn't why I did it, but the point is I don't like my money being used to fuck me over, you know what I mean? I really don't. And I believe at some point in time, some of what I donated to the cause to keep the lights on strictly, and that was the conditions of what it was for, went to, like, paying these bot farms and all this shit that I've said 100,000 times does not make a cryptocurrency ever. Never has it before, never will it again, never did it before, And like, there might be this hype, pump, fun kind of garbage that goes around and everybody gets the idea, but they don't understand that, like, what you think is $300 million is really like $1.8 million, kind of thing. So, yeah, and they don't know that. And they're like, well, all these other coins are sending and pumping. I'm like, you are retarded. You are retarded. You are the problem. This is like, if that's what you're here to do, I understand though, because kind of the community of pump fund people, this is what they know. That's all they know. And they never anticipated a day that something legitimate would come from pump fund. You know what I mean? Really. And we have passed the point where now we've proven that it can be used for that reason, and people are like, well, now what do we do? We're having to pick up all the pieces and get the fucking, and get everybody across the finish line and stuff. So this is gonna be rough because all I have is shields and renews. Druids are the best here, but probably more DPS to wand. Need more mana. Cool. Collar of the Command. Oh, look at that. Yes. Thing's super good. Can't wear it yet, but I can't. Oh, I level in a minute though. But I figure, treat this like real life, you know? I'm like, even though it's a video game, it's of no consequence. I'm like, as much as I wanted to fucking quit about the shit today, really, you know, I'm like, well, you know, I'll get over it and I'll feel different about it. Prove myself then, right? Kind of. And I did. I made my point. I definitely made my point today. Now, that might not convince all of the people that I'm right, but the part that pissed me off, man, was that goddamn TK where I died because I was playing like shit. And I died on Void Reaver. I guess I could be playing better, but it seemed like it was kind of bugged or gimmicky or something happened because people died to something similar today, kind of. I don't know for sure if it was all my fault or not, but uh, regardless, I've said this a million times, right? What do I need to fucking keep expressing it? Whatever. Anyway, I figured out how the voting works on Alpenglow. Most importantly, of all the things I should be worried about, I kind of understand how that works now. What I don't understand though is they reference through AI. I didn't read the actual technical paper about it, but they say the AI says that, but they don't show me the algorithm. So I'm like, just that's how it works. Then I guess they say stake weighted peer sets. I'm like, well, how do they designate a peer set? Is it random, but like, or is it designed to peer set and group nodes according to weight? So then that way the 60 or 80% consensus can be reached the quickest with the least amount of work. I guess so, but they say geographic location, and what I read about autonomous system numbers was that it's designed in such a way to not put all of the nodes on the same basic infrastructure, right? So it's super redundant. So that way, like, there's not a Solana outage if there's an Amazon Web Services outage. And I'm like, okay, so there's a few things here, and I think I figured it out that it's done that way, and that's talk about awesome, dude. How cool is that? So then that way, if there's an Amazon Web Services outage, there's not a Solana outage because they cluster validators for the voting process based on a few factors, a few things there, which I didn't know what autonomous system numbers were, but now I kind of have an understanding. Is that a networking term? And it makes you wonder how many, whatever, but that's super cool. I always picture a validator though as like, well, a guy's got like a server somewhere in a building, that he owns, not necessarily like a traditional infrastructure, but I guess for a lot of validators, they just lease out the hardware from like Amazon or whatever. So in a lot of ways, man, like I think any company providing traditional infrastructure for Solana validators, like you purchase your own, why wouldn't you do what your customer does and start your own validator that is like your validator? And for corporations, I don't get it. I know that like I've been harping on there being some sort of technical advantage for doing that kind of thing, not just monetary, but like if your customers think it's a good idea, you know what I mean? Maybe it is a good idea, right? You wouldn't necessarily want to draw a differential line like, well, because it's a corporation, I would think it would have to be solely based on stake weight. You know what I mean? Like you can't necessarily write a blockchain that goes like, well, in this portion of it, we're going to design or cater just towards corporations or companies. If you just make it a feature or whatever, though, then it makes sense to say that like, well, this is a feature you might not appreciate, but someone that can provide a more robust, less latency, more bandwidth version of what a other validator is doing on a larger scale for the network, and some sort of frictionless. I say frictionless, but I mean free. Possibly frictionless if there's a way to do it. Which I've seen what they did with the taking the votes off chain, and I assumed that there was so there's like a third party centralized server that they relay the votes to. Like, well, no, it's still done within the network. It's just not stored in the transactions. So I thought, okay, well, if there's a way to do that with signature keys or signature messages for consensus votes, can you not like try and do stable coins the same way? Stablecoin transactions. Yeah, I maybe not. Or pair the BLS certificates with like a secondary ledger kind of that proofs the stablecoins transactions while voting on the block itself too, you know, possibly, or something, you know. But but it would be helpful for me to, oh fuck me running, to be able to see, can that guy consecrate? For me to be able to see what the algorithm is when what they use to determine, and I saw it was like divided amongst even nodes and blah 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 blah. Like, no, trust me, I read some of it. They were like how to figure out a stake weighted peer set. I don't understand. Is there a proprietary algorithm? Is that a general term that they use for computers? Like, I'm like, a peer set gives me the idea that a set is two, correct? Or is there a set that's larger? I would think a set is two, and like a group or a cluster is two or three or more. So when they say sets, I'm like, so they're trying to pair each validator to just one other validator? Like, no, they're trying to basically a neighborhood of validators. I'm like, okay. And that's determined by, come to find out, autonomous system numbers and actual physical location, I guess. Now, when a packet transmits through a server and all that stuff, does the packet track? Is there like a part of the packet that tracks the amount of networking hops it took? You know what I mean? Where like, or you know what I mean? So that way you could say like, well, latency isn't necessarily based on distance or geography. It has more to do with like the amount of routing, and well, maybe not more, but sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So if a packet has like a carrier message on top of it that changes each time it shifts through a network, you get what I'm saying? Then you would be able to say like, well, we can infer the amount of latency that a transaction might have based off of things that actually affect network latency, not geography, because it doesn't always. I mean, it's a good indicator, but that what latency is going to look like on something like that. It's certainly not something you want to ignore, but some things can be on opposite sides of the planet, but better infrastructure, better internet connections, lower latency, whatever. It stands to reason that there are some instances, it's probably a negligible amount, you know what I mean? It's probably not much worth worrying about. Went spam healing. Because you got to think like trying to route network traffic most efficiently. The thing is, like, I don't think any part of the blockchain, this is not the right instance. The blockchain itself can detect, but do packets have some sort of carrier message on them that explains like origin and destination and amount of hops through a network? or is there a way to design something that does? Then that way each packet carries the information required to determine what the outcome's razor path through the network would look like. Which, like, basically the goal would be is to reduce hops. You know what I mean? Networking routes and all that. And then you could put that into the algorithm to determine not only are these two places geographically located near one another, but it also requires the least amount of hops and distance over cable and all that stuff. Which I forget what it was, the thing that's like, yeah, no, like a cable, you think it's a straight thing, but really it's not. It's like a cable along the ocean floor has to account for the curvature of the earth, which adds actual latency to it, whereas a straight shot from which I forget what the thing is in a vacuum, but I forget fiber optics is quicker or slower than microwave transmissions. But if, in an attempt to remove virtual footage of cable, you know, in a sense, like a virtual foot of cable, or the latency from a virtual, like if there was an actual foot, but latency calculated based on virtual feet. So I need full mana real quick. Like how many virtual foot of cable does a route add to a transfer, a thing there? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, each time it hops through a network, it's like adding 100 miles worth of fiber optic cable. You get what I'm saying? So then you can determine with like an algorithm, is it more efficient to take the long route with the least amount of network hops, or the short route with a whole bunch of network hops to reduce latency? And I wouldn't know how to do that with a blockchain, but I also wouldn't know how to do it not knowing whether or not packets carry that kind of information to begin with, or is that something that like the server has to query and ping and count as it transitions through a network or whatever? And do they use a rating system for ASNs? So, if I have that correct, so like a way of validating, like like averaging out a score. So some sort of if they do use that, you know what I mean, to say like, well, tradition, like if there was like, well, we have these ASNs, I guess more than one thing um, references the same ASN if it's on the same infrastructure, possibly. Is that how that works? Or is there a way to rate and grade network infrastructure based on latency, you know? So an algorithm that can sit there and pick and pull routes based on um, the infrastructure's level of bandwidth, latency, and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like if each of those numbers that represented a web server company's hosting ability, basically. Yeah, I'm kind of babbling, whatever. I gotta eat here soon. We're gonna zone in. But to assess an ASN, which, if I am correct in assuming, I guess run to the end. But like, as an ASN assigned to a thing and it's like distinct, and you know, well, that's ASN 180, that's Amazon Web Services, right? Now, is there a way to apply a score to an ASN that you could then cluster nodes and based on actual network performance, not necessarily network location, right? Like an estimated latency for that kind of transaction. That would have to be something handled off chain, wouldn't it? Yeah. But you think if seeing them move away from no nodes are allowed to communicate to, well, now they can, and it's made this whole thing 75% more efficient, what amount of network assessments could be done in a similar fashion that would then allow them to rate and weight uh, services based on their performance, right? And then you cluster nodes and according to that, you know, it might not be something that you can always have an answer for, but God damn it, guy. Anyway, yeah, I might have that all wrong too, so I think we're almost there. Just wait. I don't think the guy can despawn. But then it's like, how much would that constitute something that's considered a layer 2 if that kind of thing's done external and then but I guess you, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Because you think like, well, reaching finality is the goal, not necessarily reducing speed, but if you can reduce speed and it's like, well, what looks like would be consensus quicker relaying through these nodes, it would actually be quicker due to the reduced latency through these nodes, even if they're slightly off on the actual stake weighted group of whatever's, you know. Maybe. That seems a bit elaborate. That seems like a problem that might not even exist, that trying to take care of a problem doesn't exist, right? All right, now I guess we're here, right? Can we loot the thing? This guy. Oh my! I have a new mask. I have a new mask I can wear. I think that's an upgrade even as the healing. Yeah, it's better all around. Is Ong not gonna run at all? Ong Yong, are you headed here? Fuck it. I need them slippers. I think he's AFK. How nice. To go AFK. I'll wait here to do loot. Yeah, let's grab some food real quick. Be right back. Your guy's starving to death. Your guy is starving to death. Your guy is starving to death. Oh, I got all that healer gear. Look at that. New helmet, new shoes. I need to sit. I can probably. I need to just knock out Terracar Quest. We're 65 now.
What's on your mind?
So that was my best Fathom Lord Karathresh and my best Alar. Personal best, so it's like purples and blues. Kallenbach, another 90, dude. That guy, I don't know what it is, but some of these guys parse so high that, like, I just think Arcane Mage is, like, so competitive. It is very competitive, you know? And then my DPS wave looks pretty good. Yeah, I guess that's what it's supposed to look like. Jimmy Page, he's the best wrestler, better than all the wrestler. You ever see that movie? It's my movie. It's a little movie called Ready to Rumble, starring David Arquette. Better than all the wrestler. Let's hope that it's not copywritten. It's not Jimmy Page. It is. What's the thing? Ready to Rumble. remember that Ready to Rumble boxing video game was pretty cool too. Ready to Rumble.
Jimmy King is the best wrestler. He's the best better than all the wrestler. He's got class. He's really fast. He'll rule ass. He'll rule that ass. Jimmy, Jimmy.
It wasn't Jimmy Page. It was Jimmy King. Where's Jimmy Page? Is that the guy from Led Zeppelin or something? Yeah, that's right. Derp. Long day. I'm tired too, you know. Now that we are Shadow, I just got a 50 shadow damage belt. That's pretty good, isn't it? For a green level 64 item, you'd think just a whole shitload of shadow damage. I'm a shadow mage. I'll walk over here. Oh, where did he go? Flying guy? Are you flying guy?
The Naru have not forgotten us.
Thank you. Yeah, I let myself get bent out of shape, and then now I feel better. It's like that scene from Billy Madison where he's just shooting the kid with the hose. Why are you doing that to me, mister? Whatever. We got shit to do. They're sitting there watching his pet. Got his finger in his belly button and everything. Yeah, get in there nice and deep like. Sitting there watching the guy's pet kill that guy. His finger in his belly button. If I remember correctly, this shit's all up in these trees. Oh. Now, is the thing I need up top here? Mothar. God, it took forever. I hardly slept last night. Tossed and turned, upset, excited, anticipating the future. Keep giving me necklaces and rings and cloaks. So I need like I got a weapon. I need like some pants and a tunic. I know I'm like a fat, disgusting pig and all, but gotta eat. How am I supposed to level if I have to eat? What are you looking at? Doing both. Doing both. Hot dogs. Hot dogs. In all reality, I might log. I'll do this shit later, tomorrow or something. Finish part of the quest and log out. Oh. I think I get rested XP for Shattereth, don't I? Oh my god. No. I should be logged out instantly, right?